Queenie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away. But Northerly, Danny Miller pumping away, and Northerly wins the railway.
Welcome to Racing Rewind. Our panel will review and digest the Prime WA Saturday Thoroughbred meeting from 24 hours earlier. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571.
Galaxy Star draws away from them. Pike Magician.
Yes, welcome along. It is Racing Rewind. Lochie Taylor, a very good morning.
Good morning, Mart. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Rylie Morgan.
Hello, Marty. How are you?
Yeah, well, how'd you pull up after footy yesterday?
Not bad.
Bit sore.
Oh.
You're
a little bit sore, Mart.
mate.
A little bit sore this morning, that's for sure.
Subiaco Lions going down too, and we didn't touch on the waffle very quickly yesterday. Peel Thunder beat East Fremantle 82-63. East Perth away to South Fremantle 82-43. Swannies at home give it to West Coast 137-73, and then the Demons at home 70 beat Subi 56.
It was a cracking return for the waffle round one. There were some seriously good games of football across the weekend.
Right, what about racing out there at Ascot yesterday? Sponsored by Drummond Golf, the WA Oaks.
Cracking edition of the WA Oaks, and what a race it was. Own the Queen, outstanding performance. You watched that race in review and even live. I think everyone had the concern over her over-racing the first 500 metres. She was giving Troy Turner a horrible ride, really, but in the end he was able to get her to relax, but in doing so, she was a long way off them. It was 15, maybe 20 lengths down the back.
Remarkable.
She was a mile off them, a super win, and I really don't think she'll be that far off the boys if she heads to a derby in a couple of weeks' time.
I tend to agree, Marty. I don't think there's a great deal I can add there. I thought it was a remarkable performance from a horse who just keeps going from strength to strength, Lock.
Absolutely.
She's one of these sort of late maturing fillies, isn't she? Just getting better and better. Big, strong type, flushed wide on the home bench. She was there to be beaten.
And I think it's just been the perfect campaign from Justine Erklands. I think she identified nice and early after that maiden win at Pinjarra that she was a filly that had the scope to get out over more ground. So she gave the filly a couple of weeks off throughout that period, and then she just had that short freshen up that ensured that she didn't have to race pretty much from, say, December all the way through to where we're almost at the start of April now, and it's just been a really well-placed campaign.
Steward's room, Luke Campbell.
Yes, Luke Campbell received a 13-day suspension for his ride aboard Butterley Lad in race number 5, so that's unfortunate. It looked like Luke had just started to turn the corner in terms of his form. We saw him win his first listed event last week aboard Mood Swing, so unfortunate timing for Luke.
So we've seen Ascot go day-to-day racing with the Melvista Stakes meeting on Good Friday. The rail came back to 5 metres yesterday. How did it play?
A little bit on speed, I thought. I thought it was advantageous to be in the first half of the field. What were your thoughts, Rylie?
Especially those inside couple of lanes, Lochie. I think the fence was certainly the place to be there yesterday, Marty, and a lot of the replays and watching some runs in review will spell that out as well.
Okay, just with suspensions as well, Celine Gaudray got 8 meetings at Flemington, and as we mentioned earlier, James McDonald 4 days after his ride on Shinzo. So
4?
Only 4 days, so we need to have him riding at the championships, mate.
Right.
Next Saturday. So.
Little under the table job.
That's what happens.
Different rules for some.
Yeah, that's about the way it goes. Now, yesterday, the first event was the Peters Investments Plate over the 1,200 metres.
They're on the rail then, Think Like a Winner, Kimberly Rose and Battle on Battler. 400 metres left to run though, and the race-hardened Battle Commander leads the way. Battle Commander about to be joined though by At Your Service at the top of the straight, given its head, but Battle Commander had plenty to offer. Battle Commander slipped a bit of rain, drew a length and a half, getting right up on the inside is You'll Be the One, who's had that dream inside run. Battle Commander holding them down the outside is Show the Way. Battle Commander, You'll Be the One, Show the Way. Battle Commander with an edge in fitness has won from You'll Be the One. Terrific run. Over on the outside is Show the Way.
Well, there he is, Craig Staples with his old mate Paul Jordan and Battle. How'd you go with the post-race interview with the big man?
He was up and about. Paul Jordan, for many a year in a post-race interview, has always said that 2-year-olds, you get 2, maybe 3 starts out of them every campaign.
Yeah.
But this horse, tough as nails.
Got you doing a bit of programming, I hear.
Yes. His words actually were, I'm not sure if you caught this, but he's as tough as you, Lochie. Battle
I heard
Commander.
him say that and he started laughing his head off.
I'm not sure how genuine that was.
So.
But it was the old band back together, and what we've seen over the last 10, 15, 20 years, Paul Jordan, Craig Staples, a 2-year-old that bounces straight to the front, and they were never catching him. He was really well backed late. I think he was about $5 into $3.80. Nice win, but once again, in a similar sense to what we said last week, I don't think there's a great deal between any of these 2-year-olds, but Battle Commander, we're likely to see him next in a Karrakatta plane.
Yeah, really deserving win, this horse. He's been super consistent all campaign, as he touched on. I think Macca across the line called it well with that rock-hard fitness he speaks of, the horse. There's a lot of these horses, these 2-year-olds, with some decent little spacings between runs, or they were on debut at 1,200 metres, which can be a bit of an ask for a 2-year-old as well, debuting over that 6 furlongs, and some very sharp punters, Lochie, as you touched on as well, seemingly landed some good bets here with him late in the piece, because there was a really good betting go for him as they got closer to start time. Of the beaten brigade here, I thought You Will Be the One was really good after being a little bit slow out of the barriers. This horse mustered quickly, snuck up to them along that inside fence, and I thought once into clear air, got to the line super and showed the way. Lochie was another one who charged home off a freshen up in what I thought was a really solid trial. I like this horse for Neville Parnham as well moving forward.
Absolutely. Tommy Wolf's debutant, Battle on Battler, ran the second fastest last 600 metre split of the race, came from near on last, and I thought whilst was beaten 4 lengths, found the line well. Sometimes in these 2-year-old races, especially with the debutants, it's worthwhile watching some of these horses back in the field. They just don't have that race savviness to put themselves into a race yet. With a barrier next start, perhaps Battle on Battler is one to keep an eye on, considering started $71 yesterday.
Agree, and also just especially now knowing how that track played out there yesterday, a couple of horses that were never going to be suited, I thought worked the line well in Mean Machine and Kimberley Rose. I thought they were both good performances too.
But in seriousness, a couple of the takeouts from the post-race interview was both Paul Jordan and Craig Staples thought this horse is going to be better. He's by Rommel, 1,600 metres, so the size could be a nice race for him as well.
I agree. I just don't feel he has that sharpness over 1,200 metres to be a real top 4-5 contender in a Karrakatta. In saying that, he's tough as nails and he's going to settle on speed somewhere.
Draws an alley?
Exactly. He's going to be somewhere in the first 4 in the Karrakatta, so he's going to be there. But I'm not sure if he has the brilliance to win a Karrakatta, but in a size over 1,400 metres, I could definitely see him rolling along and giving a good kick.
On to race number 2, the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap. This was over the 1,000 metres.
Third, Kripolenko, fourth, down near the fence. A length away, Enchanting Sound, Russian Sniper just behind those. Big City and Busters free. Homeward bound by the 300 now, and Norwich cruised up. Trying to go with it is Ultimate Command. Kripolenko getting a rails run. Enchanting Sound joins in as well with about 75 to go. Kripolenko's got right up on the rails to grab the lead from Enchanting Sound. It's Kripolenko, Enchanting Sound, Kripolenko. Kripolenko won it by a head, Enchanting Sound. They beat off Norwich third, running on to grab fourth.
Okay, good to see Greg Bugelhold training a winner here in town for Jason Whiting.
Yes, unexpected. A maiden Kripolenko in a West Speed Platinum Handicap over the 1,000-metre journey. Blinkers went on there yesterday and the horse just looks much, much sharper around a bend. I thought this was a good win, albeit some of the more fancied runners, I think, underperformed. Mainly Ultimate Command and Norwich. But either way, Kripolenko, since that little gear change, it looks like Greg's going to have plenty more fun with him. And he's doing a great job with his team over the last 3 or 4 months. He continues to churn out plenty of winners, and he might only have 3 or 4 horses running around. So well done to Greg. He was very happy with not only the win, but it sounded like he may have had a blues double from the Friday previous. So great result.
Certainly is, Lochie, going very well. I think a few of the more, I guess, boutique trainers are having some real success at the moment here in WA, and he's certainly one of those. I think the ride from Jason Whiting, now we know that the fence was obviously advantageous there. Yesterday, the horse was racing in the clear behind that leading pack, and Jason Whiting saw some room back to his inside to duck back towards that fence, Lochie, which I think was ultimately the winning move in the race.
Exactly right. The beaten favourite was Ultimate Command. I think if Kesh had his time again, he just wouldn't have gone out chasing a horse like Just So Sassy. We know what Just So Sassy does. She
knows one way.
Exactly. She goes out 1,000,000 miles an hour. Often at the 200-metre mark, she's found wanting. And Keshaw on a $1.80 favourite, I think he really wanted to chase that favourite not the leader, sorry, when he didn't need to. I think if he had his time again, he would have been much more conservative and just accepted the fact that Just So Sassy was going to come back into his lap. Wouldn't be dropping off her. I thought that was still a brave performance about a tough, honest mare. Rylie, I know you were with Norwich pre-race. It looked like he was giving Holly Watson a tough time down the straight. Wanted to really lay in badly throughout.
Badly. I thought it looked a really good race for him yesterday, and even with the run he had, it panned out like that, but he just really wanted to overdo things and lay in late in the piece. And I don't think it really impacted too much where he finished, Lochie, to be honest. I think the winner was still going better than him, and the second horse who we'll touch on as well. So Norwich is in consistent form at the moment, but yeah, hard horse to catch and can still do a little bit wrong, as we saw there yesterday. Enchanting Sound was a terrific return for a Class 1. She's eligible for easier races. I'll make her a follow of the meeting for mine off the back of the way she hit the line there yesterday, bearing in mind that she'll only get better with that run under the belt and once they stretch her out over a little bit further as well.
Machino continues to sire winners, doesn't he? Kripalenko, there wasn't a winner on Friday, but a horse called Shilling Lane got everyone talking with its debut performance.
Follow him next start.
In the first there also by Machino. Into race number 3. And this was the Unite Resourcing Handicap over the 1,200 metres.
Followed by Solar System tacking on holdout as they reach the home turn. Son of the Boss turned for the judge, a length and a half clear. Got the better of Cocktail Party. Snow Prince trying to get around heels now. Inside Success immediately under pressure, and Always Awesome is coming down the outside with a great turn of foot at the 100 mark though. Son of the Boss now joined by Snow Prince. Snow Prince, Son of the Boss, Always Awesome can't go on, and Snow Prince wins it. Snow Prince has won by a half a head over Son of the Boss. Always Awesome third from On Patrol. Solar System.
Okay, there it was. Snow Prince, 2 in a row. Shane and Jay Casey. Kesh Duran just catches Son of the Boss. She couldn't hang on. Always Awesome back in third.
Snow Prince, good win. Barrier 1 had a lovely run in behind the speed from Son of the Boss. Son of the Boss was brave. Led at a nice tempo, gave a good kick upon straightening, but it was a slow, painful death for Son of the Boss if you were watching and you were on him, because Snow Prince just had that lovely run in behind the speed, and from there peeled off Son of the Boss's back and was good enough to get the job done.
Thanks, Mark. Turning me on.
It's
2 on the bounce now for this horse, and Lochie, this horse, a 2-time winner at 2, now a 2-time winner at 3. He's been terrific for connections and for the stable. We know got that lovely run throughout on the toe ball of Son of the Boss. So yeah, just took him a long way into the straight, and you always knew late in the piece, Lochie, unfortunately, that how that race was going to finish, and that's exactly what happened. Inside Success started $2.50 favourite there yesterday, who I was pretty keen on. Popped badly, and the steward's report highlights some clear excuses there with him. He pulled up with a laceration and with the thumps post-race, so you can be a bit forgiving of his performance there yesterday. And another horse that I'm happy to follow from this meeting moving forward, Lochie, was On Patrol, who was desperately unlucky there yesterday. Badly held up in the straight, let down very powerfully when Luke Campbell finally got him out and into the clear, and he'll be a follow of mine off the back of that. And having jumped out incredibly sharply, I thought, leading into this race yesterday, I think he's clearly come back in very good order.
I agree. I'll steal your thunder and make him a horse to follow out of the meeting as well. I must admit, prior to this race, just prior to the jump, I thought $4.40 for On Patrol at 1,200 metres. Gee, that's short. In the end, punters were very, very correct, because he ran extremely well, was awfully unlucky, should have finished much, much closer. And I agree, Inside Success, the disappointment out of the race, he did have excuses, and he's much better than that. We all know that.
On the race number 4, the Mrs. Max Handicap over the 1,200 metres.
A long last. 450 metres left to go. Ice Picnic will be the first for home. They've straightened up. Noski's about to go on Almighty Class, though. He gives him an inch of rain. He's about to take Ice Picnic 2 lengths away. Rear Admiral. His laced up heels running on the outside of Above the Peg. Almighty Class. Ice Picnic will not lie down. Ice Picnic, Almighty Class. Laced up heels is coming at them. Laced up heels and Saloon Bar. Laced up heels, Saloon Bar. Oh boy, there's nothing in this at all. Laced Up Heels and Saloon Bar. They've gone to it. They've split it together. And Ice Pick Nick and Almighty Class behind them in a photo.
Well, it was builders of the race of the day, and it didn't fail to deliver, did it?
No, it didn't, but it almost delivered more questions than answers, Mark, because if you look at the first 7 across the line, there's 1.8 lengths between them, and there's horses that are heading towards a quokka, which is really, really interesting. We'll touch upon the winner first and review the race in the sense that Almighty Class already has a slot in the quokka in 3 weeks' time. That's locked in, that's locked and loaded. Laced Up Heels doesn't, but she's been the talk of the town. Both her, Petula and Wild Bell have been the 3 local horses that have been really spoke about highly for the quokka throughout the last week. Laced Up Heels did exactly what she needed to do, carrying 60 kilos. I don't think they set any records out in front. They essentially ran a very similar time to the 3-year-old 1,200 metre event the race prior. And I thought this was an outstanding victory for a 4-year-old mare to be able to carry 60 kilos and find the line in the manner in which she did. That was a super performance, and it wouldn't surprise me to see her locked away for a quokka within the next 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, Marty and I spoke on Thursday on the Straight Up podcast that Class is going to take her a long way, and the 60 kilos obviously the sticking point there heading into yesterday, but I think Luke Fernie's done a terrific job to get her back to her best post that Melbourne campaign that she had, and obviously it remains to be seen where we see her next, depending on how things go heading towards that quokka, but she certainly hasn't hurt her chances of getting a late slot in that race with that performance there yesterday. And I think the run in the Bluff Knoll put the writing on the wall, didn't it? We know how hard it was to make ground that day, and the way she was held up on that inside, worked into the clear late and savaged the line. She's clearly back to her best version of herself, which we probably haven't seen for a little while, and probably didn't see late in that Melbourne campaign when she probably was racing a little bit like a tired horse.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't see the best of her in Melbourne at all. We all date back to her 3-year-old days where she beat Amelia's Jewel in a Burgess Queen over 1,400 metres. So she has the ability, and I think she's back to near her best now. Luke, post-race, suggested that she still has improvement to come. You have to remember she did have a long time off, and that was only her second run back there yesterday. So he now has 3 weeks to make sure she's spot on for a quokka, provided she does get a slot. But another big question is a horse like Saloon Bar met her at equal weights. I didn't tout him as a potential quokka type because he doesn't have that black type scalp that Laced Up Heels does of an Amelia's Jewel. He's been a slower burn, and he's been progressing through the grades, but Dan Morton still hasn't locked away a horse for his slot. Could Saloon Bar be the horse that he conjures up a deal between himself and Neville Duncan? And could he be the representative for the Morton Racing slot? Because he was just as good as Laced Up Heels. With another stride, he gets the job done at equal weights. So in that sense, that's where I review this race, and I have more questions than answers.
He comes through the Bluff Knoll as well.
Yeah, he was good in the Bluff Knoll too. Almighty Class, this is an interesting one because I think on face value Mitch will be disappointed with that run there yesterday. Lochie, he breezed, settled well. I thought maybe had to be used up a little bit early, but was still trucking on straightening, and then they were obviously able to run him down very late. And some people maybe put it down to the fact they go, I heard a bit of sort of, he didn't have cover there yesterday. That was maybe the main reason, but we saw him win without cover so impressively in that Max Simmons over the 1,000 metres that first run. Yeah, he had
cover for that first 400 or 500 metres of that race, but
so I'm not sure it can be put down to that yesterday, but it was a bit of a perhaps a bit of a disappointing run there yesterday.
I agree, definitely disappointing not winning in that field at $1.95. He gave 3 kilos to Saloon Bar and Laced Up Heels, and I agree. I've heard the same sentiment in regards to the school of thought that he might be a better horse with cover. For mine, I think assessing what the strength of Almighty Class is, I think his ability to absorb pressure in fast run, high tempo races, high pressure races, I feel like that's his main strength at the moment. We've seen him in a Belgravia where they, I feel, ran in similar sections to what they did yesterday, where they just
really moderate,
just even. And I feel like he travels strongly, but every horse travels well in a race like that because they're not off the bridle. Where his one and only win in the Max Simmons, every horse is chasing and he's doing it easy. So he might be one of those horses that it just really elevates when eventually we see him in a quokka in 3 weeks' time and we see a horse like Overpass roll along out in front. We know that Overpass won the quokka last year. We know he won a Winterbottom, and you look at those horses from the 400-metre mark to the 600-metre mark, they're all chasing. They're all struggling to pick him up. He might just improve greatly in a race where they really roll along because he's a horse that can absorb that pressure.
That's where that optimism should come from off yesterday. You'd look at that replay yesterday, Lochie, and you go, oh, this horse can't win the quokka off that. But factor in that he may just be a different horse when under different circumstances.
So the big advantage with Almighty Class is he's already got the slot.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if he won that race or not. I know slot holders may be now a little perplexed and not sure. Maybe the better way to have ridden him yesterday was just from that wide draw, which we discussed him straight up, and I thought that's what they would have done, is just out the back and let him charge home. But he found himself probably trying to get one out, one back. In doing so, couldn't get there, faced the bruise. I'm not selling out on him yet. He's just too good a horse, potentially, I think, to sell out yet on. And as you said, a fast-run quokka with cover, he'll be different on the day. He's got 3 weeks to sort that out, Mitch Pateman. Nice pick, Nick. Was good. Kept fighting.
Yeah, it was good. I think he did have a few favours in saying that. Moderate tempo leader on a day with the fence is probably the place to be. So that's probably where I might be a little bit against him next start. Street Parade was held up the entire length of the straight and looked to have plenty to offer as well, Lochie, after settling further back in the field than we've certainly become accustomed to with him there as well.
That's why it's such a tricky race to assess, because Street Parade was held up the entire, never tested up the home straight and was beaten 1.8. Above the Peg started at 30-1 and I thought was very plain. First up, he was beaten 1.5. Rear Admiral, she's honest. She's been knocking on the door and thankfully got the job done last start, but she wasn't beaten far as well, and she was a little unlucky at the top of the straight. So there's not much between any of these horses, and I feel like the way the race was run ensured that. They didn't roll along, so you couldn't see a really spaced-out finish. But, yeah, it's very interesting. I'm a massive fan of Ice Pick Nick. Whilst I know he had all the favours, as Rylie mentioned, they went only steady out in front on a day where it was advantageous to be on the fence out in front, but he just seems like one of those unassuming on-speed horses that I think can now go to 1,400 metres, fourth up into the campaign, and he's just that one-paced horse that is just going to keep elevating and trying his guts out. I'm happy to make him a horse to follow as well, knowing that he's highly unlikely to face any of these horses next start. A similar thing could be said about Saloon Bar. When I was reviewing this race, I thought, I'd love to follow him next start, but then you assess the fact that he met Laced Up Heels at equal weights, and Laced Up Heels, from all reports, is likely to gain a slot, so why isn't Saloon Bar?
Yeah. So the takeout is Laced Up Heels, they'll be looking for a slot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dan Morton may use his slot with Saloon Bar. Maybe. I think the school of thought from Dan and those people that own the slot as part of the Morton Racing slot is that they'll wait until next week's Roma Cup and just watch, see how things play out, and then go from there. Halfway stage.
And don't drop off Almighty Class.
I'm not dropping off Almighty Class.
That's another takeaway from the race.
Yeah. 29 away from 9 o'clock. Time for a break.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
Because they went to the 400-metre mark. They're about to set sail for the judge. Bandolier Bow goes up to Marinsky Ballet. They're together, locked together in front on the turn. A length and a half. Pagey's turn, followed then by on the outside Bondi's Future coming with its run. It let down very quickly. Bondi's Future went up, grabbed the lead narrowly. Bandolier Bow, Pagey's turn, fighting back. Bondi's Future, a neck clear. Pagey's turn keeps coming. Bondi's Future, Pagey's turn, Bondi's Future. Bondi's Future makes it a hat-trick. Beat Pagey's turn, Bandolier Bow. Why me finishing on into fourth place?
Yeah, Durant's got this Bondi's Future for the Cosgroves flying at the moment. So is Pagey's turn for Randy and all the crew there involved with this mare.
Bondi's Future, credit where credit is due. He's absolutely flying for Adam Durant and the Cosgrove family. As you mentioned, Mart, 3 in a line now. He's just storming through the grades. You have to mention remember that his last 2 wins were 3 days apart from each other. Geraldton on Sunday, Belmont on Wednesday. That's a massive, massive effort.
And travel there too.
Yeah, like he would have got back to Adam Durant's place at 1 a.m. and then raced 3 days later. It was enormous. But this horse, I think my key takeaway out of the race came from Clint's post-race interview with Scott. He said that he just feels he was riding the horse too cute prior to his last 3 wins, and I feel like he's just really using the horse's strengths to his ability, and he just had that lovely run in behind the speed. He ensured that he had plenty of galloping room at the top of the straight, and from there he found the line really, really well. Page's Turn was obviously in front of him in running, but Bondi's Future, he's just tough. He knows where the line is, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes next, because that race was over 1,800 metres, 2,400 metres in a couple of weeks of a derby. He's very, very tough. I'm not sure. Might be something that Adam and the Cosgrove family have to think about.
Gee, it's been a good week for the Bondis, Mart, hasn't it?
Going all right, aren't they? Yeah.
Certainly are. They were the saddle side the first 2 on Friday. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, they went back to back Friday. Yep.
Yeah, so
are you on the payroll from the Van Himps family?
Van Himps, yeah. We go back a long time, Ted and I. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
it's
a big
been
fan.
I really like these horses that they're not superstars, Lochie, but they're just tractable, they're tough, and they give 110% every time they go out on the track, and this is Bondi's Future to a T. Yeah, 100%. Icebergs. Earlier this campaign was in a similar vein.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of similarities in how the Bondis, from what I've seen, how they race and their types. They're just do
they just need a bit of time?
One, isn't he? Yes, they do.
Yeah. They do.
Yeah.
I think, and that was the key thing, and maybe going a little bit off the beaten track here, but with Icebergs, for example, was that early doors, we couldn't get him to the races because it was a maturity thing, and that's something that a lot of the Bondi stock have had issues with early in their careers. So they take a little bit of time, I think, and if you can work them out and they can mature, they furnish into some really nice racehorses.
Correct. Well, what about the race?
Page's Turn, absolutely flying in second. Great win of the ladies' bracelet there in Albany. Last start continues her good form. 5-year-old mare. That was her 40th start yesterday, so she's been a great little mare for her connections. Bandolera Bow was good. Had to do a mountain of work early to settle outside the leader, in fact. I thought was very, very brave to run into third. You can almost make a case that with a barrier, this horse could have gone closer when you consider he was only beaten just over half a length. Huge talking point out of the race, however. Why Me? What a run this was. This was the race that Luke Campbell was suspended aboard his ride with Butterly Lad, and Why Me was the recipient of some serious interference at the top of the straight. Still managed to pick himself up and find the line really, really well. I thought that was an outstanding performance. Ridden colder there yesterday. We saw him be a beaten short price favourite last start when on speed. I think ridden a little bit more conservative early. We saw the best of Why Me. That was an outstanding performance, one of the runs of the day.
Not much to add there, Marty. Going to be a horse to follow from the meeting for me off the back of that run there yesterday, for sure.
Another strike. I like him as a horse, but too bad to be true there yesterday. I think he's come to the end of his campaign, and that's exactly what Lou Luciani reported to the vets and stewards post-race.
On to race number 6, the Reliable Asset Maintenance Handicap. This was over the 1,600.
Well back in the field. She's going to have to produce a big sprint to win from back. There was Soldanel and So War near the rail. Into the home straight. Pray Again's off and gone. Drop them. Pray Again shot 2.5 clear. From in second spot, Lord Gannicus. Further back, Tin Chooks. Wooben Gold running on further back in the field. At the 150, Pray Again the leader. Tin Chooks coming at it though. Wooben Gold can't win. Tin Chooks storms to the lead. Burst clear from Lord Gannicus. So War runs on, but Tin Chooks salutes again. Tin Chooks beats So War. Lord Gannicus third. Over on the inside, the Spruker fourth. Pray Again, Soldanel.
Yeah, good win, Tin Chooks there. Kieran Regan and the team, Paul Harvey. Salutes beating So War, Lord Gannicus and the Spruker.
Great insight from Kieran Regan post-race. He was of the opinion when Fields came out on Tuesday afternoon that, look, maybe we should go to the 1,800 metre, Paul. It looks like a slightly more, I guess, a weaker assignment. But Paul Harvey said, no, the mile will be fine. We'll take them on. Obviously, Wooben Gold started a very short-priced favourite, and we all thought she'd be awfully hard to beat. But Paul Harvey, it appears he has such great confidence in this horse, and he just continues to learn what racing's all about. I remember 3 starts ago, Kieran basically suggested that he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a bit of a handful behind the scenes, but he's continuing to just improve and improve and improve. And you look at his ability to settle handier in his races over the last 3 starts. I think that's been a big turning point for the horse. He settled 1 out, 1 back, and despite looking like he was going to get a world perfect run in the first, 300 metres of the race, they went slow, and that meant there was a 3-deep line to his outside, so he was held up marginally. He probably didn't have the momentum that Paul Harvey ideally wanted, but credit where credit's due. This horse is absolutely flying, and I think Kieran Regan's doing a wonderful job with him.
Yeah, I completely agree. Always flashed a really good ability. This horse, Lochie, had some issues with tractability, doing things wrong, being slow out of the barriers early in his career, but he's really furnished with that maturity we speak about into a very nice racehorse for Kieran Regan. I think we do need to touch on, obviously, the run of Woburn Gold. First go at the mile there yesterday. It was interesting regarding, I thought, the tactics, because we saw straight away from the barriers Troy was very happy to reef her and go back, which I thought, given how the track was playing by this stage of the day, you have an idea that horses that are settling back in the field are really struggling to run on and make ground and win. Looked a race that there was very questionable speed, and we know that eventuated with Prey again leading the race, which is not something that I expected, or I'm sure anyone would have expected. So I don't think the best version of Woburn Gold didn't turn up there yesterday, but I wouldn't be completely sacking her off that run either.
No, not at all. She is a really progressive filly. How many starts has she had now? She's only had the 5 starts and she's won 3 of them. That was clearly the worst performance of her career to date. Post-race vet exam revealed that the filly was slow to recover, and the trainer's representative advised that the filly will undergo further veterinary tests in the ensuing days and will advise of any findings. She was beaten 7 lengths in the end, so for mine, she's better than that. Even though she didn't have a run to suit, she was perhaps further back than many thought she would be. Yep. She was still 3 deep with cover, and I felt that despite them going slow, she was still entitled to finish well and truly ahead of a horse like Odonaka, who was 3 deep, no cover, and she couldn't even get past him. So disappointing.
Substandard run, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those ones
whatever
where
way you dress it up.
You hope there's a minor issue that she doesn't have to have a long time off, but there's something there because she's better than that.
So back to the winner. Did Kieran say that they will be stepping it up in trip now? Because it's by Havastan, who's... What did he do? He ran 4th in a derby, won a Northern Robinson. He's a Fastnet Rock, I reckon he is. Yes, he is.
He suggested that he had absolutely no idea what he was going to do next, because he was of the opinion that the horse wouldn't handle Ascot, and therefore he just wanted to see how he performed yesterday before he made the next move. So, as always, as any trainer would, he'll see how the horse pulls up, and if he finds a suitable 1,800-metre event in a couple of weeks' time, that might be the direction he heads in. Anywhere between 16 and 1,800 metres next start will suit him. He still raced handy enough and keen enough for the mile to suit him next start. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes next, because he won very, very stylishly. He won by almost 2 lengths. Sobor, we have to touch upon him. Yep. He is flying for the Mitch Pateman Yard. I think that was his 3rd start. Whilst he's a horse that is perhaps on his marker fraction in terms of his handicap rating, he's racing really, really well at the moment, and Lord Gannicus was good once again.
Didn't pay much for Sobor, and he's banking some nice checks for the connections, that's for sure.
All right, on to race number 7, the Peter Luma handicap. It was over the 1,000 metres.
Left to go. Bopping Blue will bring them for home, 1.5 lengths to the good of Magna Lee. Down on the inside, the Geraldton Galloper, Golden Fighter getting a great run into the turn. Capital Flight's been wide throughout. Rupert's Empire heads the remainder, including Thomas Magnum. Bopping Blue by the 200, 1.5 lengths to Capital Flight. Magna Lee, Rupert's Empire is starting to join in. Magna Lee got a split, went out after Capital Flight. Rupert's Empire is a desperately close go. The heads are bobbing up and down everywhere. Not sure. Rupert's Empire on the outside of Capital Flight. Magna Lee in an absolute thriller. It's a 3-way go. Behind them, Thomas Magnum and Golden Fighter. Madam
yes, it was a 3-way go there. Rupert's Empire gets the money. That's a nice little kick along for winning Rupert, who will now stand over. He beats Capital Flight and Magna Lee.
Yes, absolutely. Rupert's Empire, great win, and winning Rupert owned by Luke Fernie, Kim Doak and Dan Venables, Eagles premiership player of all people.
It's terrific that he's involved in that.
In the breeding game, which is great to see, and they would have been rapt to see Rupert's Empire make it back-to-back wins for their stallion. Rupert's Empire himself, I think he's a really intriguing horse. That was his 12th career start, 4th win, and I just feel like he's now putting it all together. It's not typical of the Simon Miller horses. Generally, they're just so professional as soon as they step out on course. But this horse, he's just taken a little while. I think he's revved a little higher behind the scenes and even in his races, but he looks like he's really coming into his own now. And, great win and a lovely ride from Jordan Turner yesterday as well.
He's another, in a similar vein to a number of winners on the program there yesterday, who's just really come on and furnished into himself this campaign, Rupert's Empire. We spoke on this show, Marty, the last time he won, that the camp have always shared a really big opinion of him, had a few issues early doors, but he's done a super job and has shown a real versatility now to keep progressing, being competitive and winning races of this nature, I think, moving forward as well. Lochie, of the beaten brigade, Thomas Magnum really loomed, I thought, on straightening coming out of that Bluff Knoll, but he just peaked, I think, maybe a little bit late and wanted to lug in as well, which didn't do his chances any good. Magna Lee was very good as well, and Triple J, Lochie, I think, will be one of the main, I guess, takeaways from this race. Started $3.20 favourite despite the bar plates being on fresh, and he just got a lot further back than usual yesterday, which wasn't where you wanted to be on the day. But I thought, given that, he still worked to the line pretty well late against the pattern.
I agree. He's another highly spruiked horse that raced at yesterday's Ascot meeting. I think I personally, I'm in two minds about yesterday's run. I thought he found the line well, 33.62. He probably couldn't run home much faster, but I just know that the boys have such an opinion of the horse, and you look at him in the yard, he's an outstanding looking horse. He has the Stallion Street Boss to match. I think there's more there, but he just hasn't shown it on race day yet. And I'm not sure what's the setup for him. He was back over the 1,000-metre journey yesterday. Is it 11 or 1,200 metres on speed? I'm not sure. Are you making him a horse to follow? Are you forgiving or are you dropping off? He went around as the short-priced favourite, $3.20 there yesterday. Where's Triple J in your mind?
We spoke to Ben on Thursday on the drive show, and he said the horse, they've always had a really big opinion of him. He's shown plenty of ability, and as you said, he's a cracking type. He catches the eye in the yard straight away as soon as he walks in there, but he's just had these, I guess, little feet issues throughout his career, which are perhaps just hindering us seeing the real Triple J and the best version of Triple J, and maybe these feet issues that are clearly still lingering around, wearing the bar plates, are just hanging on for the time being, Lochie.
Well, it's interesting to note the bar plates have actually been on throughout the whole campaign.
Yeah.
So he trialled really well with the bars on, and I thought, well, that actually might be the little change that they've needed to make for us to see the best of him, and it looked like that was the case in the trial. Maybe it was
he always trials well.
Yeah, maybe it was just an unsuitable setup there yesterday back. We've referenced the fact that it's been difficult to make up ground there yesterday at Ascot, so up to 1,200 metres next start. Settle handier from the draw. Hopefully we see the best of him, because I think he's better than 66 plus grade, and he's always promised that.
I thought Golden Fighter looked a little bit unlucky, trying to get a run in the straight. There'll be a race for him again, and whether it's back up in Geraldton around here. Race number 8, the Drummond Golf, WA Oaks, and this was over the 2,400 metres.
Shook off, guess who's back? Warrelly Lass pushing off the fence. Canellan's Legacy's over on the outside. Miss Sky High now comes into it, and around the outside here comes Own the Queen. She's coming with a mighty run from the back of the field. Queen Nardi the leader. Miss Sky High and Own the Queen. Miss Sky High for Pike. Own the Queen Turner. He draws the Shillelagh, and Own the Queen now goes up. Gets to Miss Sky High in the shadows. Flash of Dallas runs on, but she wins it again. Home she goes. The Queen reigns supreme. Own the Queen wins the Oaks from either Flash of Dallas or Miss Sky High. She's perfection behind them.
Yeah, she was good. Text here from our good old mate Sorehead Keg, Ian Russell. A big congratulations to Britt Taylor and the Owner Dream team for the success of Owner Queen yesterday. A great initiative to get new owners into racing, and a great story yesterday. Well done to all involved.
Great story. That was almost the story alongside the training performance and the ride of Troy Turner. The series has just gone from strength to strength, and it has brought so many new people into racing. Whilst, look, these are the winners of the competition, and they got their, I think, $10,000 or $20,000 share paid for in this horse. So what a way to be introduced into racing. And I know even personally, our stable, those people that have been involved and have just had smaller vouchers, that's been the catalyst for them to go on and get shares in 3, 4, 5 horses. So the series has been a renowned success, and that was on display yesterday in the highest order. The win itself, Own the Queen, what a win. We said just after 8 o'clock, Marty, you watched that race, the first 400 metres, she was really over-racing badly. Her head was in the air. She was giving Troy Turner a tricky ride, and in order to get her to relax, he had to drop a long way last.
Yeah.
15, 20 lengths maybe?
I was going to have a stab at 15 lengths.
Yeah, it was a mile off them. Miss Sky High, she was 1 out, 2 back. She was much, much handier in the run. Flash of Dallas followed Miss Sky High. They were the 2 horses that ran second and third. Own the Queen. Massive, massive performance. I'm hoping she goes to a derby in a couple of weeks' time, because I don't think she'll be that far off the boys.
No, and even there yesterday, she's remarkable how quickly she can, just with her change-up speed, how quickly she can pick them up. And I know it was a bit more of a grind there yesterday, considering the pattern of the day and how far back she got. But even when she did hit the front there yesterday, Lochie, as we've seen from her this campaign, she can still have a little bit of a float, I reckon. As soon as she hits the front, she knows she's got them covered. The job's done. And yeah, it was just clearly the win of the day for mine yesterday. It was an outstanding performance. And Miss Sky High was brave, but, Own the Queen's had her measure throughout the campaign, Marty. And I thought the run of Flash of Dallas, the maiden, to run third was outstanding as well. This horse is certainly going to be winning some races for Grant and Alana Williams.
Massive. You could argue Flash of Dallas was perhaps a fraction unlucky not to finish second to Own the Queen. I thought that was an outstanding performance about a mare who was filly, I should say, who was only having a third start, I think. Yeah, so massive effort, third up out to 2,400 metres. It's going to be interesting to see how some of these fillies have pulled up, especially, I think, the first 3 across the line, Own the Queen, Miss Sky High and Flash of Dallas, because if I think Own the Queen is going to be right up to the boys, Miss Sky High and Flash of Dallas, whilst I don't think they're as good as Own the Queen, they're still well and truly capable of running top 5 or 6, that being Miss Sky High and Flash of Dallas, in a $500,000 race. So it's going to be an intriguing race, and it means that the Derby, all of a sudden, some of these boys are going to need that prize money to be able to gain a start. So that's going to be another interesting discussion point over the next week or so.
Because she's now won, she's annexed the Guineas, the Natasha and the Oaks, and amassed $442,000 in doing so. It's not bad for a horse who's had 6 starts for 5 wins.
There's your Own the Dream pin-up moving forward.
You've got to stop it right there. If you can improve on that, if you can improve on that, you're pretty darn good. That is amazing. Anyhow, but to all involved and to Britain, everyone, well done. That's a terrific effort. Okay, last of the day, the CTM Recruitment Handicap. This was over the 1400.
Back there as well, followed by Mac. Then came Celebrity Witness, the last couple. Blazing Tycoon, who's near enough to last with My Mate. Heads had turned at the 350. Rogues Point joined by XL Train. XL Train goes up, gets about a neck clear. Rogues Point, Play Dice, Morgs Freeman, Spectacular Park. They go to the 100. XL Train kicks clear. XL Train gets the better of Rogues Point, Play Dice. Down the outside, Blazing Tycoon when it's all over, but XL Train won it. XL Train from either on the outside, Blazing Tycoon, or getting a late split driving through Hemlock Stone. Won't be much in it for the minor placings. Play Dice, Princess.
Right, tell us about the win. We had Dan Pearce on earlier on telling us all about XL Train's victory, ridden by Steve Parnham.
Yes, had a tricky draw to overcome on paper, but naturally, awkward draw. You just be positive the first 200 metres, and in the end, lobbed a nice position outside the lead of Rogues Point. He's going great guns for Anthony Barton and Simone Altieri. That allowed XL Train a nice tow into the race, ensured that he wasn't left in front for too long, and from there, it looks like 1,400 metres is just the perfect distance for this horse. That was his third win out to 1,400 metres, and settling on speed, he's just a tough horse. It was a good effort last start, but he just hasn't had that killer blow in, I guess, well, ever since he won that race over 1,200 metres at Mount Barker, but on speed, had the right run. There were a few unlucky horses in behind Exall Train. He just needed that ounce of luck to go his way because he's a very honest and tough horse.
Speaking of unlucky runners, playing Rio was horribly unlucky, and I think the main talking point from the race, Fast Flicker.
There was a few.
Not the most enjoyable watch, that one yesterday, Muddy.
Yeah, someone had 12 grand on it, didn't they? In the big bets.
Oh,
Yeah.
ouchie.
Yeah, 12 grand at 5 to 4, 2.25.
Yeah,
So the
and
tap touch
it was a
boys are off
real,
the Bahamas.
and you knew. I think it was one of those watches where you knew your fate real early, Marty. You were
that's good.
meeting the sandwich, and I don't know where this is getting a run.
Yeah, well, she's run second last in the end. Never tested whatsoever.
Oh, the queue was in the rack very early.
Yeah, but you just scroll through the stewards' comments. Hemlock Stone, he was a good thing beat. He was enormous. Clint Johnson Porter was going left and right, eventually got clear, and he flashed late. You touched upon playing Rio, unable to secure clear running in the straight. Forest War, raced wide throughout. Princess in Red, unable to secure clear running in the straight. Spectacular Park, raced wide throughout. There were plenty of very, very unlucky horses. A 15-horse capacity lineup, there was only 4 lengths between first and last. There were some extremely unlucky horses in that race yesterday, which makes it a very tricky race to follow. But you just know, off the strength of Fast Flicker's win only 8 days ago now, yeah, she has a big future for Tony Triscari.
On Racing Rewind, it is time for the boys to look back and determine who are the black bookers, the ones to be on next start, the horses to follow.
For me, on patrol, Ice Pick Nick and Why Me?
Enchanting Sound back to a Class 1, I think, will be good placement off the back of her return yesterday. On patrol as well, Lochie, I share your sentiments, and Why Me?
Cool. Dan Pearce, Mark, has just messaged me. He said, the last race seemed fair to me.
As he sets up his Easter egg hunt, he'd be very happy. Make sure you put a few more down then, Dan. Wellington and Rees Community Albany Cup.
Big day for Balo and the team down there at Albany.
Balo must have just woken up. He's asked me, can you please give the race a plug? We've been doing a very good job on it all day. Let's have a look. Tab Touch. There's a bit of movement in the markets. Scratching, big one. Beats a War's out.
Oh, that is a big scratching.
He was about $7, Rylie? Yep, that right?
I thought he was nearly one of the ones to beat in the race. So it has come out, beats a War. So that's made this market change a bit. Caramundi's 5. Let's Deal 11. Tony's Spirit favourite 3.30. Manavendra $4. Dutchie's Demerit $5.50. And down to Sluice Box at $14. Any thoughts on the race, boys?
Oh, I didn't see them very well yesterday, Marty, but if I was having one bet down there at Albany today, I think Tony's Spirit, off the back of how well she's been going much better than it reads on paper, she's going to be hard to beat. I just thought Caramundi, barrier 11, the 60.5 kilos, no, he'll sit last in running, may just be too big of an ask.
Thoughts, Lock? Haven't got any?
Not really. Manavendra, because Dan Pearce just messaged me.
I'm the same with you guys. Hopefully can annex the Esperance Cup into the Albany Cup. There was a reason. He just gave a little tick-over run last start. To be 3 weeks into this made a bit of sense to me. That is it for the aftermath and also Racing Rewind. We've